Why did the voters choose you?
I think I was very consistent in wanting to find ways to, as I said, return the elections to the people of Mason County. I wanted to do my part in terms of transparency and integrity to find ways to return elements of not just the elections but the auditor's office to the people.
What are your thoughts on this office now that you're running it?
Well, interesting, you talk about the elections office.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, you're right, because of some of the campaign rhetoric, and it never came from my mouth, but some of the campaign rhetoric that was out there was interpreted by the local team as making them look bad or saying that they weren't doing their job. The people who work in this elections office do an amazing job, and their hearts and heads are absolutely in making sure that everything is done properly, and they run a very tight ship here.
Are you an election denier? Is that fair?
I don't even know what people mean by that. Well, I think I know what they mean by it, but I think it's really a term that's intended to be derogatory or demeaning. And no, I do not deny that we have elections, and I do not deny that elections have consequences.
And are elections prone to corruption or widely improper counts?
Well, I can only speak for what I've been involved with here in Mason County, and I don't believe that they are subject to wide impropriety or improper counts. Outside of here, you, as well as I can see the reports coming out of different states and different counties and whatnot and make your own conclusions. My focus is what's going on here in Mason County. And it really has been about Mason County from the get-go. And so I have high confidence in the work that this team does.
Did President Trump win the election?
So this question came up often in the campaign. And I'm going to give you the same answer I gave all along, right? Our system is such that Joe Biden had more votes through the Electoral College than Donald Trump. That count was certified by the United States Congress, and that's why Joe Biden's in the White House. That's the way our system works, right?
When you talk about election denier, I think if you look at the landscape of evidence in the Trump election, that's why I asked this question in all seriousness, because I think you're an election denier if you believe that Trump won the popular vote, let's say. Are you in that category?
Like I said, Chris, I'm focused on what's happening here in Mason County. So, people can make their own conclusions and make their own opinions and go forward decisions from the evidence that they see coming from either from that election or elections that came after that.
Let me ask you about how the Mason County Voter Research Project, did you start that project here in Mason County, by the way?
I was part of getting that program up and running here in Mason County. It's part of the Washington Voter Research Project, and each county has their own little team focused on that particular county, if you will. So yeah, we started out in Mason County.
Yeah, how did that project come about?
That project came about in initially working with some of the folks up in Skagit, understanding what they were doing, looking into what they were calling voter anomalies at that point in time, and just trying to learn what their method and approach was, and seeing what we could do to replicate that here, and with really just the curiosity of what is the state of the voter rolls in Mason County. And are there any issues in Mason County? That's why we got it going.
When you look at the VRP report that was submitted, how do you sum that up in a paragraph? I mean, what did you find exactly?
Well, we found a lot of questions, right? And I want to go back to an earlier point. The voter research project is not about finding fraud. The voter research project is about helping auditors clean up their voter rolls in each of the respective counties. And I know it got painted in a different light out in the media and in other sources, but that's really what it was all about. That's really what it is all about. And so the biggest conclusion for me through that whole exercise is that it takes a lot of work to keep the voter rolls current and correct.
As you are aware, we went and sort of followed in the footsteps of some of the
You did.
VRP reporting. We reported that we didn't find any evidence whatsoever of vote fraud. There was a small number of improperly registered people, but the report didn't really have smoking gun evidence of fraud or anything that I think would make a lot of citizens concerned. What's your response to that?
Well, that wasn't the purpose of the report. And so you're right. The report didn't point out specific instances of fraud. The report brought up some questions that needed some follow-up. And in a lot of cases that follow-up has been done. But that's what the whole project was about, was bringing forward information for the people who normally deal with that type of information to run it to ground, if you will, and determine what the right next steps are.
But you're sowing doubt and fear in the minds of those people who are maybe trying to genuinely understand whether our elections are full and fair.
I don't think I'm sowing doubt and fear. I think I'm trying to just provide people with information so they can draw their own conclusions. I'm not a fearmonger.
But I haven't seen anything in terms of widespread voter fraud or people abusing that system. I just haven't seen anything in Washington State like that.
Okay.
Have you?
Not yet. But just because we haven't seen it doesn't mean that the potential for problems isn't there. And as an auditor, you need to be thinking ahead and thinking about what might those potential problems be and how do we protect against them. If you go to the financial industry as an example, they have a lot of people who are very much concerned about fraud in financial industries and financial institutions. They don't wait till they get bit by something to respond.
Steve, you were telling me earlier some of the things that you plan to do in this office to fulfill, I think, address some of the issues you talked about on the campaign trail.
Yep.
What are some of the things that you're planning on doing with this office?
Well, I'm glad we're shifting to that. So let's talk about what we have done already. So in terms of getting more people involved or making more opportunities for people to get involved through the Election Observer Program, we have, we'll be starting, I think with this next election, April is when we're going to start this. We're inviting election observers to actually follow our elections team or election staff as they go around and maintain or collect ballots from drop boxes. We're going to let them know when we're going to be heading out, and if they want to follow us and see how that part of the process works, come on along, right? The other thing is we have an opportunity now with our printer to have election observers on site, accompanied by someone from the elections office, but we'll have observers on site when they're printing and mailing ballots for Mason County. That's a piece of the process that I don't think has been made available to election observers before.
What did you say to the members of this office when it was your job and you showed up here for your first day on the job? What did you tell them?
Well, I'm going to tell them I told them the same thing I'm going to tell you. You can't believe everything you read about me in the newspaper. Because a lot of what was put in the newspaper were things that never came out of my mouth, that people either fabricated and said I said or implied that I said, and I never said. And so I assured them that I wanted to be the best auditor for the people of Mason County. I wanted to be the best auditor I could be for them. And so we took the time really just to kind of get to know one another, lay all our cards on the table. I really tuned into their expectations of me because I want to do a great job for them. They're all great people and they all do a great job, and they're just a lot of fun to work with.
Before we ran our story on the Mason County Voter Research Project, I tried to contact you. You didn't call me back. You didn't talk to us then. Why?
Don't take it personally.
And why are you talking to me now?
Well, I'm in office now, and I owe that to you as a member of the media.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.